Good morning, girls. Today's review is Unit 7, which is talking about matter. What is the meaning of matter? Matter is anything that takes up space and has mass. Anything that takes up space around us and also has mass. Physical property is the characteristic of a matter that you can observe or measure. Remember when we said the most important thing is this word, characteristic. Okay, so what is a property? When I say property, I say it is a characteristic. Physical means I observe it or I measure it. Okay, so property means characteristic and physical means to observe or to measure. Like what or how do we observe or measure? We observe or measure by seeing, by hearing, by feeling, by touching, by smelling, and by measuring. So these are the things that help me to observe or measure the physical property. Okay? What are these physical properties of matter that we know? The color, we can see the color, the shape, the mass of any object, the volume of any object, the state of matter, is it solid, liquid, or gas, the length of the matter, the magnet, does it have the magnetism or no, is it attracted to other objects or no, the texture of the matter or of the object, and the density of the matter or of the object. Okay, all these things, the mass, the volume, the density, the texture, all this is called physical properties. What is the meaning of physical property? It is a characteristic of the matter that you can observe or measure. What is the matter? It is anything that takes up space and has mass. What is the meaning of mass? The mass is the amount of matter in an object. The amount of matter inside an object. How can we measure it? We measure it with pan balance. This is the instrument that we use to measure the mass. Okay? It's called pan balance. What is the unit? The unit of the mass, the unit of measurement of the mass is the kilograms or grams. Then what else? We have the volume, another physical property. What is the meaning of volume? Volume is how much space an object takes up. How much space an object takes up. If I want to measure the volume of 3D object or a box, for example, I will measure its length, its width, and its height. Length, width, and height, and then multiply them to give me the volume. What is the volume? Is how much space an object takes up. Then we have the density. What's the meaning of density? The density is the amount of matter present in a certain volume. The amount of matter present in a certain volume. The density of a substance is always the same no matter how much the substance there is. Do you remember when we said if I have a small piece of wood on water or in the sea, will it float or sink? Yes, it will float. What if I have a big ship also made of wood? It also will float. So whatever this wood is, a ship, a big one, or a small piece, this doesn't affect its density. The mass doesn't affect the density. Okay? So the density of a mass is always the same no matter how much is its mass. Okay? How can we measure the density of a substance? I can put it, if a solid object, I can put it in a jar that is, or a beaker that is filled with water, and then I will see it will float or it will sink. If you see here, this box, some of it is sinking or 1/3 is sinking, 2/3 is floating. So it is or it has low density. What about this one? Half of it is under the water sinking and half floating, so it has medium density. What about this piece of metal? All of it is sinking, so it has a high density. Its density is higher than the density of water, while here it's less than the density of water, and here also it is less than the density of water. Density equals the mass divided by the volume. The density equals the mass divided by the volume of the object. States of matter. We have 3 states of matter. What are they? Solid, liquid, gas. The solid has a definite shape and definite volume, and its particles are closely attached to each other with no spaces, like the ice. The liquid has no definite shape and takes the shape of the container, but it has definite volume, like the water, and there is some spaces in between it. The gas, no definite shape, no definite volume, like the vapor that makes the clouds, and there is huge spaces in between the gas particles. How does changing of matter occur? Freezing, melting, evaporation, condensation. Freezing, we change the liquid to solid, as here we change the water, the glass of water, into ice when I put it in the freezer. This is called freezing. The opposite of it is changing the ice or the solid into liquid. It's called melting. What if I boil the water? The changing of liquid into gas is called evaporation, and the changing of gas into liquid, like the clouds, is called condensation. This is the review. If you have any questions, please tell me. I hope it's easy for you. Thank you, girls.